Let us now listen to the second gospel reading today, which brings in the paradox of Palm Sunday. Let us listen to Mark chapter 15, 1 through 15. So as soon as it was morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "You say so." Then the chief priests accused him of many things. Pilate asked him again, "Have you no answer? See how many charges they bring against you." But Jesus made no further reply, so that Pilate was amazed. Now at the festival, he used to release a prisoner for them, anyone for whom they asked. Now a man called Barabbas was in prison with the rebels who had committed murder during an insurrection. So the crowd came and began to ask Pilate to do for them according to his custom. Then he answered them, "Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?" For he realized that it was out of jealousy that the chief priests had handed him over. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to have him release Barabbas for them instead. Pilate spoke to them again. "Then what do you wish for me to do with the man you call the king of the Jews?" They shouted back, "Crucify him!" Pilate asked them, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Crucify him!" So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released Barabbas for them. And after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified. Now, I know that that's a big buzzkill to the celebration of the day. I get it. But it is the introduction to Holy Week. And here we go. We're here. All of our work in the Lenten season has taken us to this point. All of our prayers, all of our reflections, all of our wandering in the wilderness, our struggle, our facing into our angels and wild animals. You'll remember that from the beginning. We've had our ashes up here. We've had holy water back there to bless us on that journey. And part of today is meant to launch us. The celebration is meant to launch us into this week, to help us understand the gravity to it and the wonder of it. Part of today is to look at the high of that celebration of Jesus riding into Jerusalem and then hold that in creative tension with the hard and painful reality of what we know is coming as he enters Jerusalem, after he's entered Jerusalem. But hopefully this week is more than that. It offers us the challenge of facing into the highs and lows of our lives as well. It offers us that opportunity to face into how do we handle the highs and the lows? What do we draw on? Where's our foundation? What lessons have we learned for this journey? How do we turn to God in the midst of it all? How do we stay connected to God in the midst of whatever life throws at us? When Jesus was being celebrated by the crowd, doesn't it seem like he still stayed remarkably grounded in who he was and who God knew him to be? And we'll read later in the week, as he's turned over and led away to be killed, remarkably he stays grounded in who he knew himself to be and who God knows him to be. How is that possible? How is that foundation so secure within him? This week leads us to that same point. This week is supposed to reveal to us that same foundation for us. How can we deepen our practice so that we can get to that same point? To find that same wisdom, to find that same commitment, to find that same strength and courage. And so as I prepared for today, one question that I kept wondering about to get us to that deeper foundation really is, what is our expectation as we go into this week? Do we expect just to kind of go through the week and check it off as another week on the calendar? Do we expect to have all the mysteries of God revealed to us in just one week? And we're going to be perfect by the end. Yes, some of us are like, please, right? Do we expect to enter into and just have stuff revealed to us, whatever is there for us? I don't know the right answer. I don't know. But are we willing to find out? It's worth asking the question of what do we expect from this week? What are we waiting for? What are we watching for as this week unfolds? We might start by thinking about the celebration of the crowd as Jesus entered into Jerusalem. It's interesting to wonder what they expected. Doesn't it seem like they're welcoming this man of power and healing and spirit who is approaching the holy city, possibly fulfilling many old prophecies? They're shouting and laying clothes and branches to prepare the way, similar to what we did this morning. And their hosannas seem to be full of expectation of what would be, what could be, what he would bring, what he would do to restore God's people and bring a new rule of peace and abundance. Their expectations led them to see those moments in a particular way. And one of the primary issues that humans have had, struggles that humans have had over time, really is our accurate expectations of God and what we expect of God. I think the same was true for those folks at that time. The people seemed to expect a ruler in earthly terms. The people wanted an overthrow of the earthly kingdoms and an overthrow of the systems and structures. And some of us are going, hallelujah, amen. Can you do it now? Can you make it happen quickly? And we may want that similar things. However, when we bring those kinds of expectations to this week, they may cause us to miss the deeper work that the Spirit is longing to do in us. And the part that we are to play in overturning those things, in changing those things, in bringing more justice, bringing more healing. When we only try to reenact what happened 2,000 years ago, it can cause us to miss what God is trying to do right now. How God is calling to you, to us right now, and how God is forming us in a new way for that journey. Now, I have to admit that sometimes my expectations get me in trouble. My expectations of people or events can keep me from seeing the deeper thing that's happening or the actual reality of what's happening right in that moment. Sometimes I expect to be happy with things. And I can expect to be happy so much that when that doesn't happen the way that I had expected it to happen, I can get disappointed, so I miss the tender and beautiful thing that actually does unfold. Anybody have that experience? Right? When I expect God to speak to me in the big Charlton Heston type of voice from the cloud or from on high, I can clearly miss that still small voice that is trying to shape me and guide me and lead me and transform me. How we enter this Holy Week is important. The expectations we hold for Holy Week are really valuable. We have this whole procession today, which I think is quite fun. I really enjoy it. I always grab one of the biggest palms. Sometimes I whack people on the heads with them. It's fun, it's engaging. And yet somehow do we expect Jesus to ride in on a donkey behind us? When we extinguish the candles on Good Friday, it's a beautiful moment. It's a poignant moment in our Tenebrae service. But do we expect that Jesus has just died again when the lights go out? When we gather for worship on Easter Sunday, do we somehow expect that Jesus will rise again from the tomb? He can take my place anytime. Totally good with that. But hopefully we can think of these as a little preposterous. But what do we expect? What do we expect? This week will offer us a profound opportunity for our own transformation. This week offers us a profound movement in our own spiritual formation. Tomorrow, we get a couple days to prepare ourselves, and then we'll move through Maundy, Thursday, and it's new commandment to love, and you work that out by serving other people, and we'll wash each other's feet. Then we'll move through Good Friday and face into the shadows that live within all of us, that diminish or kill the living Christ within us. And we'll face into the violence of this world and its structures. And we will wait during Holy Saturday, practicing, waiting, and watching for the powerful work of God that is never on our time frame. Am I right? Blast it all, and thanks be to God. And finally, that movement will lead us to the new life of Easter. Somehow, Easter Sunday is going to come next Sunday, 7 days from today. And you can have gone through, skated through, been fine, no problem, or you can dive in. See what's held there for you. Go through the liturgies and the movements. Allow yourself to be opened in new ways. Allow yourself to pray in ways that maybe you haven't prayed before. To allow yourself to go through the different rituals and light the fire that we light. It's pretty spectacular, y'all, if you haven't done it before. But the prayers that Alexander Shaya has unearthed are beautiful prayers about unity and love and hope and joy to get us to a different place. Are we willing to go through those different stages and find their unique lessons for us again this year? Will we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to be tender, to allow the Spirit to shift us and move us around a bit? Are we willing then to walk out of our tombs as we've come to know them and be courageous enough to walk into new life, however we're being invited into that? Today is a new day that's never been before. Tomorrow will be a new day again. Next Sunday will be a new day. Can we walk into it in wonder and in unity and in holiness? We can go from celebration to celebration. One of the secrets of the church is that we read that second gospel passage to try and keep us from just going from celebration to celebration. Some of us are like, yeah, I'll come on Sunday, and I'll come on Sunday, and I'll get all the good stuff. How does that work in your life, though? Just trying to go from good stuff to good stuff. Does that ever deepen you? Is it real? Does it allow God to meet you right where you are? I don't know about you. My life is sometimes messed up. Sometimes it goes in weird directions that I never could have imagined. Stuff arises in me that I'm like, ugh, that's just, how did that get there? I need to get rid of that. This week is about just this. It's about facing all that stuff that's in our holistic nature of who we are, so that we can walk afresh into life with the Christ. And I don't know about you, but I need that new life of Easter. I know that to get there, I have to go through the garbage. I have to face what lies in here and here. Ooh, don't try to get in there. Y'all just do your own thing, but, right? I mean, we know what lies within our own worlds. And we have to face it. This week invites us to do just that. So it's not just what are your expectations for God, but what are your expectations for yourself in this week? What do you hope for? What do you expect yourself to give to this week? What I tend to find is the more I give into things like this, the more I get out of it. Typically, the longer I pray, there's more connection there, because I have to get past all the other stuff first. There was once in Connecticut, I remember we had a 3-hour prayer service, and I dedicated myself to stay for the whole 3 hours. And the first 2 hours and 40 minutes were boring as anything. I tried every prayer style I knew, and had no connection at all. And I was basically just sitting watching my watch at the end. And I kind of just threw up this Hail Mary prayer, and all of a sudden, there was connection. All of a sudden, there was presence. If I hadn't waited it out, never would have happened. I could have left after 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and just been, I tried. Whatever. What are you willing to offer this year? How are you willing to open yourself? Where are you willing to go? Many of us, I think, really want to sometimes pole vault in our own spiritual formation, our own spiritual growth or recovery, or those of us who have been injured or dealing with health issues. We just want to pole vault and get to the healing. We just want to pole vault. Get over the rehab or the recovery or the struggle or the lonely nights or whatever it takes. And I get it. But life doesn't work that way. We have to go through our grieving. We have to go through the workouts. We have to go through that rehab. We have to go through that stuff, that yucky stuff, to get to the new life. This week is about just that. We have to go through somehow that eternal cycle of death and letting go to make room for that new life or the new thing that's being birthed. This week gives us a spiritual blueprint for that movement. This week offers us that experience of hearing the call to love and that transformation that we need to get there, to facing into the garbage that lies within us. Gives us time to work that through, to pray that through, so that we can be transformed. Come out the other side with new life that waits for all of us, to get to that deeper love that waits for all of us. So what are your expectations going into this week? What do you expect of yourselves? What do you expect of God? And how will you embrace all that this week holds for you? How are you willing to participate? May the flow of this week carry you and guide you into the work that is needed just for you. And may you find the strength for that work, the courage for that work that the Spirit longs to give you, so that you can find that new life that awaits you in this moment and in every moment. Blessings to you all. Blessings to us all on our journey. Amen.